The American Express Company is pleased to be involved with your State Restaurant Association in bringing you this important training program. The safety of all restaurant employees is everyone's business. American Express hopes you will benefit from this training program and will continue to enjoy a rewarding career in the exciting and challenging food services industry.
Whether your operation is fine dining or quick service, safety is up to you. Accidents can cause personal injury, but they can also cost you in the pocket if they cause you to lose time off from work.
If I had an accident, I'd probably lose a lot of time out of work and time I can't afford to lose.
Safety is important because I have a family to support.
It's real important to work safely so you don't have to take off work and lose money.
Most of us need to work, and even though the boss wants us to have a safe work environment, when it comes to safety, it really is up to you. In any operation, the major safety concerns are lifting and moving, operating machinery, handling chemicals, cuts and burns, and fire. Whenever you pick up something heavy or bulky, lift it twice, once in your mind and then pick it up physically. The mental lifting is your opportunity to check that the floors are dry, the aisleways are clear, and, this is important, that you have a clear place to stop or unload. Most slips and falls occur while someone is carrying a heavy or bulky load. That's because it's more difficult to see where you're walking. That's also the reason for these two important tips. First, whenever there's a spill, immediately clean up the mess and wipe the area dry. For areas too large to dry quickly, set up warning cones or stands. Second, a restaurant is a place where it's okay to work quickly as long as you walk slowly. Racing around a kitchen or service area is a shortcut to disaster. Speaking of walking, it's important to wear only shoes with skid-resistant soles and leather uppers. The leather uppers help protect against hot liquids or dropped knives and utensils. If an item is too heavy to lift safely or so bulky that you cannot see around it, ask for help. Asking for help when you need it is a sign that you're working smart. When you do lift, whether it's alone or with help, use your brain, not your back. The muscles in the back aren't designed for lifting. Lifting is a job for those longer and stronger leg muscles. So squat, keep your back straight, and push with your legs. Your power zone is between the chest and knee level. Objects that you can easily handle in the power zone could cause strain or injury if lifted from the floor or from overhead. Store heavy objects on low shelves and save higher shelves for lighter items. Use a sturdy step stool or ladder. Climbing may be faster, but it's dangerous. A hazard that's a natural part of our business is the machinery that we use to prepare food. A slicer that can make quick work of food can do the same for a finger. A mixer that can prepare a full batch of potato salad works just as well on a hand. So how do you protect yourself? First, only operate machinery that you have been trained to use. If you're not absolutely certain, ask. Second, make certain that machinery is unplugged before you assemble it for use or take it apart for cleaning. If you can't see the plug, don't assume it's disconnected. Use the on-off switch as a double check. Only use machinery for its intended purpose. And before you operate, check that all guards are in place to prevent getting pulled into the machinery. Remove any jewelry or loose clothing, and check that your hair is restrained by a hat or net. If the equipment requires protective clothing, use it. While you're operating hazardous machinery, always keep your hands away, and that includes utensils of any kind. Keep your attention on your work. If you are distracted, turn off the equipment before you turn away. These rules and a few others apply to knives. Only use knives with sharp blades. Most knife cuts occur when a dull blade slips off the food. If you use a sharpening steel, pull the blade toward the guard, like this, or better yet, hold the tip of the steel on the cutting board and sharpen with a downward motion. Blades dull quickly when used on non-food surfaces, so use a box opener in the storeroom and work on a cutting board everywhere else. When you use a knife, always trim away from your body so that a blade that does slip is less likely to find a target. For chopping and dicing, use the point of the blade as a pivot and keep your fingers curled under, like this. Whether you work in a commissary, coffee shop, gourmet restaurant, or quick service operation, there's one thing that's certain: you handle hazardous chemicals. While grease removers, drain cleaners, and insecticides are obviously dangerous, did you know that window cleaner, detergent, even sanitizer can be poisonous? Here are some basic rules to keep you and your customers safe. First, always store chemicals below food or food contact surfaces. That way, if there is a leak, food won't be contaminated. Always follow the directions on the label exactly. If you don't understand the directions, ask. A mistake could be deadly. Never mix chemicals and always store chemicals in their original containers. When a container is empty, rinse it thoroughly before discarding. If you use spray bottles, label them clearly so that you know exactly what the bottle contains. Burns are a common restaurant accident.
The good news is that they are usually avoidable if you'll just be careful. Here are some suggestions that will help.
Assume that an item is hot. It's better to be surprised that it's cold than to get burned. Let hot utensils cool before you set them in the dish area. Adjust burner flames so that they're no larger than the bottom of the pan. And remember that steam can cause serious injury too. Working smart and working together means fewer accidents. But when there is an accident, it's important that you know exactly what to do. Burns should be immediately treated with cold running water. Never use ice because it can create more damage. Cold running water applied immediately is the only good first aid for burns. Apply direct pressure to cuts to help stop bleeding. And even though it sounds gruesome, if you cut off a body part, pack it in ice water and take it with you to the hospital. Every accident, large or small, must be reported to your manager. Your manager is required to complete a report which will be used to analyze the situation and help prevent future accidents. Just remember, it's your duty to report the accident immediately, and together, you and your manager will decide if you need more than simple first aid. Our last hazard is fire, and like the others, preventing fires is better than knowing how to put them out. Most restaurant fires start here in the vent hood. The filter should be cleaned daily, and the exhaust stack and fan should be cleaned whenever there is a buildup, and that may be as often as once a week. Fryers with exposed coils and other places where shortening is exposed to both heat and air are likely places for a fire to start. Gas water heaters are another potential hazard, so keep all materials well away. For your protection, all exits must be clearly marked. It's also important to clearly mark doorways that could be confusing in an emergency. In the event of a fire, turn off the power to the equipment, grab the nearest fire extinguisher, pull the pin, aim just above the base of the fire, and squeeze the trigger. Never aim directly into burning material, as this may spread the fire. Alert your fellow employees, and if the fire is not immediately extinguished, calmly ask your customers to exit and stand clear of the building. If the fire involves any part of the building structure, the fire department must be called, even if you're able to extinguish the flames you can see. We've talked about the major safety hazards: lifting and moving, operating machinery, handling chemicals, cuts and burns, and fire. But there is another safety hazard that we haven't mentioned: you. That's right, you are a safety hazard, but only if you don't follow the rules. You're also responsible for letting the boss know whenever there are unsafe conditions. And there's one more thing. It's your responsibility to yourself and to others to report to work bright and alert, and that means absolutely substance-free.
It's no secret that restaurant work is hard work, but it's good work, and it can be fun as long as we make certain that it's safe. That's why it's so important that we work to make sure that safety first is more than a slogan. It has to be our way of doing business.
It is important to work safely so we can eliminate accidents.
To eliminate accidents, you just pay attention to what you're doing and take your time on what you're doing.
Safety is important because it keeps us working.
When it comes to safety, it really is up to you. Hi, I'm Scott. Let's spend just a few minutes learning how to use your training materials. It's important to remember, though, that the training materials by themselves will not do the entire job of training. It's up to you to customize your presentation to meet the needs of your particular operation. Find a quiet, comfortable place to do the training and plan to spend at least an hour. It's a good idea to provide simple refreshments, ask participants to refrain from smoking, and of course, always keep your training positive.
The materials consist of 3 parts: a videotape, an instructor's guide, and an assortment of information sheets that you will want to have photocopied before the meeting. Begin by previewing the tape and the instructor's guide. Then make a list of changes as well as a list of products or items that you may want to demonstrate. Assemble all of these materials, set up the video so everyone can see, and you're ready to begin. The instructor's guide is easy to use. Statements in parentheses are instructions for you. Don't read these aloud, just follow them. Boxes contain key statements as well as questions that you should ask to help you involve your employees and check their understanding. Below the boxes are the answers. Now, you'll be tempted to just read the answers and go on, but don't do this. First, try to get your employees to give you the answers. Statements in boxes should be said to the class. It's best not to read word for word. Instead, you should try and use your own words.
Now, if you'll watch closely, I'll use a sample module so you can see how this works.
Hi, I'm Scott. Today's training session will last about an hour. Now, why do you think we're having this training session?
To teach us how to train our employees.
That's good. Anybody else got an idea?
Because training will improve our operations.
That's exactly right.
Well, I think you've got the idea. It's easy, and it gets easier with practice. So, good luck and good training.